Hello.
Welcome. Whilst we're waiting for people to arrive, how are you both?
Okay.
I'm okay. I got an inconvenient itchy nose.
No, I'm all good. Just usual work shit. But
I'm alright. I got one more day left of work.
I have 2 more
And then
days.
it's holiday.
and I'm not going on holiday. This is not fair.
Oh no. Yeah,
I'll
but
be
you can hold down the fort with sprints.
I'll be holding down the fort, trying to sort out what content I need to put out there. Starting out my life.
Okay, so I feel like we need to start off with rating
2 stars.
Liar.
Okay, 3 stars.
Maybe 4.
No, obviously 5 stars from me. Like
5
the whole
stars.
series is
This is an across the board 5-star series.
Yeah.
For me. Like, there's no doubt about it. No second question. No guess. Yeah.
Look at how much Blue is crying. And I don't know if you remember last month I said, I'm going to have to change it to Blue is, because at the moment Blue is sadness. So I'm going to have to change it to Blue is just crying, emotional. Yeah, for this one, I'm just going to keep it as sadness because out of all of those Blues, only 2 weren't sad cries.
There was a lot of sad moments.
There was a lot of sad moments.
When I was writing my notes, I was just saying this to Lisa and that was my phone, to Lisa and Catherine before we went live. But what I do, I tab as I go. And then before we go live, I will go through all the tabs and make the notes on what I want to make notes on. And there was one thing in particular, when I reread the line that the tab was on, I almost cried. Because that was one of the happy cry.
Oh, okay.
Right,
Yeah. But obviously 5 stars. I don't think I don't think a Cassie book could ever get less than 5 stars. Chain of Thorns is a possibility depending on which way she goes with the plot, based on how Chain of Iron ends, which Meg understands. I don't think Meg's here, but Meg understands it because we had the conversation about it. But we'll get to it. We're not getting to Chain of Iron until next year. And by that point, I would have already read Chain of Thorns because I'm going to be reading it the moment it comes out. So, yeah. 5 stars. We love to see it. Hello. So my favorite part in this book, I don't know if you remember last month, I was saying that there's a thing I couldn't remember whether it happened in book 2 or book 3. It's Benedict becoming the worm.
Oh my god, literally I made 2 notes and one of the notes was worm.
But it's the fact later on in the book, Will calls Gabriel Lightworm, and there's Lightwood.
Yeah.
And it's my favorite thing. Like, it's just such a funny, it's not supposed to be, well, it is supposed to be funny, but like, it's a serious thing because Gabe is like broken right now because his dad's turned into a massive demon worm. Tatiana is like screaming because
annoying.
her husband has been killed by her father worm, and it's just like a whole mess. What are your thoughts on Tatiana right now?
I hate her.
Oh, that's not going to change, I promise you.
I'm just like
the Last Hour series follows these characters and their kids. So yeah. But you've been properly introduced to the Blackthorns now. Well, kind of properly introduced to the Blackthorns. You've been introduced to the Blackthorns by marriage because Tatiana's only a Blackthorn by marriage.
Yeah, she's very, very ill. Don't like her.
This is the one I've been waiting for. It's such a it's such a good one, and I can't wait to talk about. I don't know if we can talk about it in this month or next month, but like the reason why this has to be read in a certain order. We're going to talk about that. Demon Pox rules. Absolute favourite part, especially the way Will acts. He just cracks me up. Like in the second book when he starts singing the Demon Pox song about him.
That bit, I was just like, it's a serious situation. It's like demon monks.
Gabriel's green eyes saw Will. It was Demon Pox, wasn't it? You know all about it, don't you? Aren't you some sort of expert? Well, you needn't act as if I invented it. Their banter in this book just gets better because it becomes less of a hatred banter and more of a we're starting to see eye to eye banter.
Yeah. Like, I still don't know if I like you, but yeah.
I do think Gabriel especially has one of the best character developments in this book.
Oh, at one point I thought it was going to go south, and I was like, did I actually message you that I hate Gabriel? I think I did.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, no, I don't. Oh, yeah.
It's one of the notes I have written down because it's just when you think, what are you doing, Gabriel? And then like a little while later, it's like, oh, he didn't do the thing.
I just changed my mind about Gabriel, but I noticed Blackthorn was mentioned. I was like, oh, Blackthorns.
Tatiana, I could have had so much sympathy for if she didn't turn out to be a downright crazy witch.
Yeah.
That is literally Tatiana in a nutshell.
But it's just like it wouldn't have been that bad if she was hearing it, her brothers were like, oh, Dad turned into a demon worm and then slaughtered people, and she wasn't there. Then she could have been like, oh, I don't believe you, sort of thing, and that would be a bit difficult to believe if you didn't believe in like that kind of thing. You didn't want to believe your dad was like that, but she was literally there. Like, her husband was slaughtered, and I'm just like, how can you then try and blame
Will and Gabriel and Gideon and that? Like, she literally acts like they murdered her father, which technically they did, but by that point, he was a demon worm. So that's literally their job, to kill demons.
I was just struggling,
There's no coming back from turning into a massive demon worm. That's it. Benedict's gone. Thank God.
Oh God, I really thought they wasn't gonna go their way when the fucking console was like, I hate him too.
Can we appreciate Tessa being all worried about Henry? Like, oh my God, you're bleeding. And he's like, yeah, I fell on my dagger. Don't tell Charlotte.
Yeah, that bit was just like...
I love how Henry sort of comes out of his shell a bit more after him and Charlotte have that like revelation of the fact that they love each other and it's not just like an arranged marriage in the second book. I like how we actually get to see Henry in this book because he actually comes out of he's more of a relevant character in this book.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
To see with the little cradle. The first time I read it, the moment I read that he's made a cradle that moves, I was like,
no.
Charlotte, put the baby in that cradle.
Yeah, careful.
Like, I love you, Henry, but no.
And the fact they actually decided to come up with a sensible name for the baby.
Oh God.
This is going to be the middle name.
Buford.
Charles Buford.
Oh,
but the one right at the very beginning, Will and Cecily arguing is one of my favorite things because it is such a sibling relationship.
Yeah.
It's so accurate. And then them all telling Tessa that she can't go and fight. And she's like, what? Because I'm a girl. It's like, no, because you're wearing a wedding dress.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm just like, girl, like why would they want you to go fight in a dress? You're not even like gear up if you're gonna go. Like, what?
Can we appreciate she did actually go in the wedding dress?
That baffled me.
She's like, well, everyone's seen me in it now, so I can't wear this one for the wedding.
Oh God.
Cecily is one of my favourites. I love
do like
Cecily. Speaking of, Magnus gave Will a red necklace that pulses when demons in it. Does it sound familiar?
I probably missed a beat here, I think.
Izzy has a red necklace that pulses when demons in it.
Oh crap, she does.
And Will, later on in this book, gives the necklace to Cecily. And Cecily then makes a comment about eventually marrying Gabriel, who is a Lightwood.
I didn't connect those
I must
dots.
admit, it's been obviously a very long time since I read those first ones, so the connections are looser. But oh my God,
like I always, when I'm rereading them, I always like try and remember what the familial connections are, like who's actually related to who. Because obviously Jace is a Herondale, and I can't actually remember if he is directly. I think he is a direct descendant of Will, which makes so much sense.
Yeah, that would make that would make sense.
The thing is, if you was to read this series first and then read Mortal Instruments, you would meet Jace Wayland and be like, he's exactly like Will.
Yeah.
And then later on in that series, when you find out, hang on a sec, Jace is a Herondale, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Character.
I love the fact that Cassandra Clare has basically like plotted this whole series, but not just like one series, like the different series, and then thought about how they all interconnect with each other. No wonder she needs to take a break. Woman.
You say that, but when this series originally came out, there was family trees, and since the Chain of Gold and Chain of Iron have come out, she has actually told people to disregard the family trees we've previously seen because they might not be accurate. Which means when I was reading The Last Hours and I was meeting all of these like new characters, I was like, right, this is this person's kid, this is this person's kid, but wait, this person is supposed to be with that person and like have those kids. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. And then I saw that Cassie had said, don't necessarily go by the family trees that are already out there because some things have changed. So she didn't plot everything out, which is interesting. So very interesting.
Oh, that is strange.
Yeah, Izzy.
I love Izzy.
Yeah, Will is Jace's great grandfather. But yeah, what was the other thing? I do you know what? One of my notes just says gem, heart, and sad face, and I can't remember what.
Everything about Jem was just sad face, wasn't it? Really?
Oh, it was the bit where he was saying about how the reason he started taking more of the Infen was because when he first asked Tessa to marry him, he had told her that being with her made him better, and then he started getting worse and he didn't want her to think it was like he loved her less. And I was just like, Jem, stop it. I was like, I can't take this. Stop it, Jem. Like,
he is very cute.
Did you see why Jem is my favourite?
No.
But one thing that really annoyed me, the consul just openly saying that he only gave Charlotte the Institute because she's supposed to be docile and just do as she's told. Like, excuse me, what?
And Henry was supposed to keep her in check.
Yeah.
And
but then him like trying to get blackmail Gabriel and Gideon into
that bit was hilarious.
Fake letter.
I was like, he's not gonna fall for this. Like that is just the most ridiculous thing.
But
and I was just...
when Sophie catches them and they're telling her, and he mentions the hats, and Sophie's just like, dying. This is hilarious. And she's like, don't worry, I'm not going to tell her, carry on.
But it was just the fact that Gideon didn't even miss a beat. Like, he was just, no, I'm not going to betray them. They're taking me in. This is what we're going to do. And the fact that, I mean, there's one thing about opposing someone becoming like the head of an institute. I get it. Like, if you don't agree with it, you don't agree with it, whatever. But the fact that then he actively went and tried to get both brothers to turn against him for one, and then went for the weaker one that wasn't as close, thinking that he could turn him and get him to betray them. And then not only that, was just trying to then say, well, if you can't find evidence, basically plant it. And out denying that, like, oh well, Will's a wayward, like Will's a wild card, and because she's in a certain way that she's like gonna believe him and stuff. And I was just like, oh my god, this guy needs to get in the bin. Like,
I mean, he got the karma.
he did,
Just
he,
say it.
he did, but the whole time, every time I heard that voice on the audio, it made me cringe, and they made his voice sound like a really cringy, creepy guy as well.
Do you know what oh god, I know, but do you know what I think's the real like karma on it? Not just the fact that he then got killed by the automatons because he didn't listen, but who then got offered his place as consul? Charlotte.
That was
It's like, oh, chef's kiss moment.
that was definitely, and
we're going to talk about the epilogue in a minute. But I love the fact that it means in a way Alec and Jace are related, especially Alec having similar features to a rugged Herondale, as Camille pointed out. Yes. Because they are technically like how many something cousins? Because Will and Cecily.
it was very, very like great, like going back in generations.
So yeah, it is interesting. Also, very glad Alec and Jace were never a thing.
Yes. No more incest, please. Thank you.
I genuinely forgot about Jem going over to the Silent Brothers. So when they were like, Jem's dead, I was like, what? Oh my god, really? I just relived the emotions all over again.
Yeah, I literally messaged Becky and I was like, oh my god, Jem's dead. No, I actually said no. I said crying faces and then like no, Henry. I put Busters instead of the other one. But what the Jem is a silent brother. Jace is and then I went on a totally wrong tangent there. But I was like, I love Gideon and Sophie. But yeah, literally there was like 1, 2, 3, about 7 messages in a row where I was just like, fuck shit.
Those messages gave me life. You said I am a good man, he said, but I am not that good a man, and I'm catastrophically. Yeah, I've literally written that down on one. And then like 20 pages later after that, Magnus walking in on them. It was my favourite thing.
That was ace. Because it
and he's like,
you can just imagine his face. Every time I think of Magnus, I think of the guy in the series and the way that he pulls the faces. And just in my mind, it's him stood over them, and it's just amazingly cute, and just like his face pulling those.
But I just love how Jem knew, like he'd like. It wasn't that he'd given up. I think it was that he just accepted his fate at that point. And he, after hearing like Magnus say about Will being in love with Tessa, he gave them his blessing.
It shouldn't have been a Jem and Tessa anyway. I'm still not about that. So that's not really that big a deal for me.
I mean, I'm very much this should have been a poly relationship. Like, if it had been set in our time and Jem didn't become a silent brother, then it would be fully, I want this to be a poly relationship. Like, I don't want her to choose.
Yeah, I've always been a Will and Tess, I think. But it was cute what he did, like what he said, but
Oh, sorry, hang on a sec.
Dog barking. I've always been Jem and Tessa, just from the get-go. Jem and Tessa.
No, I've been a
Yes.
Will and Tessa from the get-go. I just, yeah, I don't.
I love how we finally found out exactly like who she is and about her parents and like. Sorry, Becca, if I've skipped forward to where you were wanted to go, but that was one of my favourite parts. Was finding out more about who she is.
I love
Yeah,
the loophole behind that, because they was always like, well, she can't have Shadowhunter blood because Shadowhunters and demons together, it's a stillborn baby.
Yeah.
Like, but no one has ever thought about the fact, but hang on a sec, what if the person's got Shadowhunter blood, but they've never had a rune on them?
yeah.
Like, them not having the runes on them means they're, I mean, I don't know if this is the right terminology, but their Shadowhunterism hasn't been activated, essentially.
Shadowhunterism.
Like, until they have their first rune, like, yes, they're Shadowhunters, but they don't have their full Shadowhunter power, like Nephilim powers, until they have their first rune.
Yeah.
They just have like heightened strength and stuff. It's not until they have their first rune. So, and obviously that's never happened before where someone hasn't had their rune. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I did like that we did find out about Tess. We finally found out what she was and how it came about. And I just, that was a very nice sort of like time.
And the way it links back to how in the first book when they go up to York and Aloysius, whatever his name is, looks at Tessa like,
yeah,
huh?
Yeah.
And
He
then
was
it
giving her
clicked.
the eye. And
And
then
then
it was,
we get the
Yeah.
background that, you know, they swapped his kid, like his granddaughter.
that was absolutely heartbreaking to listen to. Because the fact that he loved this little girl, like it was, and then thinking like, yeah, she's just sick, but when she gets that whole scene to start with, when like it wasn't a long scene, but when she got the rune and then she starts screaming in pain, I'm like, well, definitely she's dead because clearly that's the thing. But then obviously it doesn't mention it again till right at the end of the book, and then he explains why that happened. I just feel for that child, and I feel for him because obviously he thought that that was his granddaughter.
But also the
Like,
fact that it sucks that it sucks that it happened, because like that's a punishment on that sickly child, because that child did nothing wrong.
yeah.
But was it the Fae or the Warlocks that swapped? I can't remember like who it was that swapped the child. But either way, like, I mean, it makes sense if it was the Fae because of changelings and stuff. Like, that's what they do. They swap their sickly child with a healthy child. But obviously in this case, it's been done just to get back at him, which is sad because, like, if you want to get back at him, not a innocent child.
And it wasn't she was already sick, so she was already going to die. But then the fact the way she ended up dying
was
like a painful death. Like that to me, I was just like, this is horrible. like that whole scene was just not the one.
The narrator is amazing because it's Daniel Sharman.
Other than saying Steely, then yeah.
Yeah, but it's Daniel Sharman, so it's fine. Honestly, Jem turning into a silent rower, then Will and Tessa jumping into bed together is the only reason I give the book 4.5, because they thought he was actually dead. Yes, however, Jem literally gave his blessing. He told Will to go after her and to be happy.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, Will did meet her first, and she only went for Jem because she felt sorry for him, really.
I mean, she went for Jem because Will was an a-hole to her, and she realised that she had feelings for Jem because Jem was actually a decent person and treated her nice. But yeah. Meg is here. I'm just late and watching the chat back on Two-Speed. I'm nervous for Chain of Thorns. Yeah, Meg's the only person I know that shares these nerves. I'm really sad that we can't get to Chain of Iron sooner, so that everyone else can share our nerves. But it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. No, she has full circle the best of both of them. Speaking of, let's just screw it. Let's talk about the epilogue when they meet on the bridge. And he's Jem again. When I tell you, I like screamed. The first time I read it, not this time because this is like the fourth time reading it, but like the first time I actually, like, not loudly, but I screamed. Because I was not expecting that. But I love how they've met like almost every year on that bridge, and that's why I love Blackfriars Bridge so much, because it's Tessa and Jem's spot. Like, it's their spot. Even if Jem was brother Zachariah, they still met, and he never fully became a silent brother like all the other silent brothers are.
See, I did like that, but I still could have done without it. I didn't really
Don't
think
be
that.
a hater. Don't be a Jess.
It didn't really need to be a thing, did it? It could have just been, yeah, Will grew old and died, and
That
like,
bit broke me.
that was sad that
When
she
it was
outlived
going
him.
through.
Yeah.
But the fact that she stayed with him whilst he got older and she didn't. And I completely understand why after Will died, she decided to leave the rest of the family, because she didn't want to see any more of her family leave her while she stayed looking the exact same.
Yeah.
Like, it breaks me every single day. I think all of the entire epilogue I cried. Like, and there's like quite a few blue. To be fair, I cried for the whole epilogue. But if I'd put a blue tab on every line that made me cry, I would have run out of blue tabs because I was an actual mess. Didn't want her to choose either, but that was too quick.
To be fair, she had been in love with Will for a long time, and
in love with Will first.
And I don't know. The thing for me is that she was consistently like struggling to not be around Will, or like to be.
Also, I would like to mention they thought they were going to die.
Exactly.
Like, they thought they were going to die. They thought Jem was dead. They thought they were going to be dead because they were trapped in this like really cool designed prison cell, essentially.
Why not
that
have
Will
one?
was an idiot and just rushes forward. It's just like, now you're trapped with me. It's like, yes, he is.
Why not have one last hurrah?
Or one hurrah.
Or one. Just the one.
But I just like, and Will struggling with the corset was like my favourite thing, because it's just like, oh, Will.
Is it how do you do this? She's like, pull.
I think it's actually explained in here, but the reason he never became a shadow hunter was partly because of this, but also partly because of the effects of the Yin Fen meant that some of the runes that make you a silent brother could not be put on him. So he couldn't be fully transitioned to a silent brother, which is why he always still slightly looked like himself and didn't act like a silent brother like the others did.
Yeah.
But you will get to see, this isn't a spoiler, you'll get to see more of brother Zachariah, because obviously in Ghost of the Shadow Market, that is basically Jem, brother Zachariah's book, and it's short stories of him through the years as brother Zachariah. So it's really interesting to see him as a silent brother, because you don't really get much of him as a silent brother in this. You just see that.
You just know that he is, and off he goes. And
when I thought he was dead, I said, I think I actually messaged it to Becca, because at one point I did say that, oh, he's going to conveniently live, and even though he technically did conveniently live, but I was like, oh, they're going to conveniently live, and there's going to be like a last minute cure for him, and blah, blah, blah. And then when he actually died, I was like, do you know how I said that? Like, I was wrong, James. And then I was like, oh, no, he did conveniently live. They got rid of the Silent Brothers in time, which I kind of regretted saying that I didn't want it to be a convenient thing, because I was like, oh, I don't want him to die. I don't want him to actually die. But then I was, even though it was very convenient, now I'm glad that he did become a silent brother to save
The thing is, it was convenient, but it also did make sense, because Shadowhunters can become silent brothers, like if they're like ill, and it stops them from actually dying, but then they get to be a different kind of Shadowhunter and still be able to, you know, do their job, but in a different section, essentially. But yeah, I think it was really well done. Like, yes, it was convenient because he didn't actually die, but I think there was the logic behind it.
Yeah, yeah. But that did
Rather
break
than
me.
they would, like, at the last minute found a cure. That would have annoyed me.
Yeah. Yeah, but like that bit broke me when he actually died. I was like, oh crap, he's actually dead. And then what happens to Will when he dies? That was like, that made me feel sick as well a little bit.
Because
then it
we've
made me
never
feel-
actually seen that. We've
Yeah.
always told, we've been told up until this point that losing your parabatai is the worst thing you can imagine, and it's like you yourself is dying, but you don't actually see it happen to any characters up until this point. And it's like, good, because up until this point, the only other parabatai you know are Jason Alec.
Yeah, exactly. But my thing was, I did find it a bit weird, because from what I remember, they said once your parabatai dies, your parabatai rune disappears or it fades away. But it didn't disappear; it turned silver. So that to me already made me feel a bit weird. Like he's died, but he's
To
turned
be fair,
silver. I don't understand.
no runes actually completely disappear, because if you think back to like Izzy and that, they have the scars of all the runes that they no
Yeah,
longer
but
use.
it didn't
They're
turn
like,
into a scar, did it? It turned silver. That's why I thought it was a bit like, oh, is that something to do with the fact that he was taking Yin or is so I didn't really understand why it was turning silver, but I did think it was a bit weird. It was turning silver, that it didn't sort of like disappear like where they said it was supposed to. But then obviously we find out why it didn't fully disappear.
I'm okay with it.
See, I'm glad he didn't die, because I did text. When I text you, I was like, I do regret saying that. I hope that it's not convenient, because I didn't really want him to die.
Yeah, I don't think it was convenient, but it was there was the logic behind it, so it wasn't
definitely
completely convenient, which is good, which is what we want, because some authors, and to be fair, Cassie is one of those authors, sometimes some things are a little bit too convenient.
Yeah.
So yeah, but also she is an author that isn't afraid to hurt you.
Excuse me.
So, yeah. Will is still my one true Shadowhunter love. Gem is mine.
Gem.
Still behind in the chat, but yes, poly relationship all the way. But Will was my boy. Baby Megan was obsessed with Will. And the catastrophically in love line literally sends me into a crisis. Does it make you feral? Because it makes me feral. Like, that line is everything. Let's talk about Jessie, because I know we sort of hated her because, she betrayed them, but she died.
That did make me cry.
I cried at that bit because it was just so sad, and like, because she was saying like, look after baby Jessie, and it was like, and we was like, we won't touch your stuff, and it was like, oh, stop it, please, I can't take this.
And he was like, I don't hate you, we don't hate you. Like,
she was so certain that they all hated her, which, to be fair, they would have had a right to.
Yeah, definitely.
But they're not like that, because they're more forgiving than that.
Yeah. And then she
came
back later on. Right?
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
At Christmas. Yeah, was you about to say, did I just spoil something?
Like, wait, hold on. No, I was going to say, did I imagine it?
No, she finally gets Will, like, sees Will alone, and because she says to him, like, because he's like, have you been here this whole time? And he's like, yeah, but you're always with someone. And it's like the first time that she finally gets to see him on his own, and then she like appears to him and she's like, hey.
I liked how Charlotte was like, she's done bad things, but like she's
got nowhere else to go.
She's got nowhere else to go, so we should bring her back. And I was like, I love you, Charlotte, for the reason, you've got such a heart. Like, she's so
the fact that the console tried to use that against her as well.
Yeah.
And then tried to use the fact that she lets Will run riot, and I'm like, he's a
17-year-old boy.
Yeah, exactly.
She's only a few years older than him. She's like 23. Like, she's not his mother.
Yeah, that whole thing, everything she did, he had some reason why, like, to blame her for, like, she shouldn't be the console because she should be the head of the institute because of this. She doesn't keep her shadow hunters in check. I'm just like, they can do what they want. Like, they're out fighting demons, and he's out trying to find someone he cares about. Leave him the frick alone. It's just stressful.
I'm just looking at my notes. We already mentioned about Gabriel not sending the letter and not betraying them.
That was the best.
He was saying about, like, he wrote the letter and they're like, did you send it? And he's like, no, and like pulls it out and throws it on the table. And I was like, Gabriel. That was the point I knew I loved that character.
Yeah. See, yeah, when you say he's had character development, he really has. Like, he was very naive in sort of following his dad when Gideon left. And Gideon and Sophie. Gideon and Sophie are just so freaking cute. But then Gabriel and Cecily were also just super cute as well. And
one of my comments is Cecily and Gabe being cute when they go to, like, fetch the stuff Magnus wants them to get. And they're just really cute. And then I can't remember what it was. I didn't write this one down, but I've just remembered it. Someone says about Gabriel being like Will, and Gabriel's like, I am not like Will. And she mutters, I hope not. And it's just like, do you have a little crush on Gabriel there?
They're sort of like going from being sort of not friends, but kind of like just getting to know each other, but him not wanting to admit that he sort of likes her, but trying to be around her and that kind of thing, where it was just like, that was just adorable to watch.
I just love how every time Gabe and Cecily are together, Will's like, get away from my sister. He does not trust Gabriel after what Will did when he was 12 to Tatiana. But Tatiana deserved it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I love also how Will is still adamant I had a curse on me, even though it wasn't a curse. And Magnus is like, it wasn't. He's like, what? He's like, I'm taking this to my grave. It was a curse.
But one of my other comments is just in capital letters. Sophie and Gideon engaged.
Oh, that was the cutest. That was, I think I also messaged you when that happened as well. But the fact that it was just like, I hope that wasn't inappropriate to say in front of everyone. She's like, it was a declaration. You didn't actually propose.
Yeah, you didn't actually
it was more of a declaration.
So flustered, and it's like, oh, you're so adorable.
And then they're listening on him.
I love that they're listening on him.
The fact that Gabriel like takes the mick out of his brother, that's proper just what a brother would do. And it's like, oh, come on, your way with women, it's just not it, is it? Kind of thing.
But then another thing is when Sophie ascends near the end, the bit I was saying to you two before we went live about how when I was writing up my notes, there was one bit that made me cry, when I almost cried when I was writing up my notes. It was that bit, the bit where it says like about like you are a shadow. I was just like, Sophie ascended. I was just so happy because I love Sophie so much. And her not wanting to ascend because she didn't want to leave Charlotte a maid short. And Charlotte's like, no, I can get another maid. I want you here.
Yeah.
I love them.
The thing that made me laugh was the scone situation, if we're talking about Gideon and so.
Oh my god, scones.
I think Gabriel's like smooth, brother.
I had a load of scones under the bed.
Understandable her being annoyed about that, though, because she's the one that's been having to bring them up because he's asked for them and he's not even eating them. He doesn't even like them. And then he's just
That's the thing,
hiding
he didn't
them.
even like them.
And I have to clean them up.
But the thing that gets me, like, to find out what he does like, and she's like, okay, like, I'll get you that instead. And I was like,
It's so cute.
oh.
But was it just after Sophie and Gideon get engaged? Just after that bit, or at one point when they start kissing or something, and Bridget then chooses that moment to start singing.
Yeah.
Bridget. Oh, Bridget's songs just make me laugh.
The fact that most of Bridget's songs have the name William in it as well, and Will's just like, can she pick a different name?
And it's all about death and betrayal, and
So
because when the woman sings it in the little Irish accent on the audio, I'm just like, oh my god, I want to slap Bridget, but also she can fight.
she can.
Like, she's annoying with those death songs, but she can fight.
Ghost of the Shadow Market had me crying, and you haven't even finished it yet, Meg. Come on, honestly. I'll just mean you hate her, but you feel for her. All she ever wanted was to escape the Institute, but now she haunts it. Come to terms with it now. By that point, when she realizes she's dying, she's sort of like come to terms with the fact that she's not leaving the Institute. And then when she's talking to Will, it really hits her like, I'm okay with this. Like, I can watch over everyone. And it's just like, Jessie. Oh.
I do feel for her. She didn't deserve to die. I know I said that in the last book, that she can die. I didn't really want her to die. Just.
I wish demon pox and my broadband company.
They'll turn into a demon worm.
Maybe the energy companies as well.
Oh god, yeah.
Oh, Gideon and Sophie. Sophie and the scones.
Yes. I that whole thing. Well, the thing is that I love that the fact that with this sort of series, it is very much, although they do have a bit of banter and stuff in the first series, it feels like this is just, I don't know, it's just better in every way, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
The character development, the banter feels like genuine, and like, yeah, I really do. I love the fact that Gabriel wasn't an asshole in the end. I love that.
I feel like some of the stories are like Dark Artificers related. Yes, they are. Either way, I think I should get through Bane Chronicles and Shadowhunter Academy first. Okay, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think is there 11 or 12 stories in Ghost of the Shadow Market? Either way, the last like 2, maybe 3 happen after Dark Artificers, so you very much cannot read it before Dark Artificers because massive spoilers. Like direct things that are linked to what happens in that series. So it's very much, if you haven't read the Dark Artificers, do not under any circumstances read that.
I will make note.
You might want to get up. He said, everyone will be here quite soon to rescue you, and you may prefer to have clothes on when they arrive. Literally Magnus. Like
that
everything.
is this.
I would at any rate, but then I'm known to be remarkably shy.
That made me giggle. I'm just like, shy. Lies.
This is my favourite of the 3, but that could just be my love for Magnus. Funnily enough, I love how the 3 short story collections follow 3 of my favourite characters. But we're not going to talk about that because we're going to be getting to those books fairly soon, and I'm excited. So excited. I don't know. I don't want to talk about this because sad, but I have to. The snapping sound, Henry. The first time I read it, I genuinely had to stop reading at that point because I thought Henry was dead.
Yeah.
And I was not okay with it.
I was like, no. Like, Cassie Clare doesn't get rid of characters in that way. I was like, she can't. She doesn't. She's not. And then I was like, you've literally just killed off Jem, because obviously at this point we didn't know Jem was still alive.
Yeah.
And now you're killing her.
To be fair, so she'd already killed off a character.
Yeah, but I didn't like Jessie really. I was sad, but it was just like, yeah. But then she killed off a cinnamon roll, and now she's killing off another. I was like, absolutely not. I did not like that bit. It was horrible.
It was just the fact that it literally says about the snapping sound, and then like he's laying there like, what was it like? Life, was it lifeless? The word that you used. Wait, page 438. Oh, I thought I went straight to it then, but I didn't. There was a terrible snapping sound, and Henry went limp. And I was like, stop that! No,
No.
no, 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 no. But it's fine. Yeah. And we didn't find out straight away that he wasn't dead. It wasn't until like Magnus goes and Charlotte's like, he's not dead, he's not dead. And they weren't listening to her because, of course, they wasn't. When will they learn they need to listen to Charlotte? And then they don't listen until Magnus. But I appreciated that Magnus apologizes for not listening to her. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, I'm sorry I didn't listen to you. Like, and I'm like, yes, Magnus, you apologize.
And the fact that he tried to fix it, he keeps saying, I'm not here just to save the Shadowhunters and I'm not doing this for free and stuff. But again, it just reminds me of how he is in the Shadowhunters and Mortal Instruments. Is like, I'm not here to just be at your beck and call, but I will help you anyway.
Yeah. He
And
has a soft spot for certain Shadowhunter families,
yeah,
like the Herondals and the Lightwoods.
yeah, definitely.
Magnus is amazing, but I'm still to read the Red Scrolls. I'm absolutely gutted that the third book in that series isn't coming out until after Cassie's had her hiatus. I was hoping that that would come out and then she had the hiatus, but it's fine. The third book was supposed to come out like last year or this year, because the first Wicked Powers book was supposed to come out next year, but none of that's happening. But it's fine. I'm just going to cry in the corner and reread them all again to pass the time. Yeah, same. I was not okay with Henry almost being dead. I about threw the book when that happened to Henry. I was so scared. It still has a grip on me. I can't even write right. I know. Like, we are going to be reading Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy. We will be reading it in November. That will be the November book, because we're reading City of Heavenly Fire in September. Then in October, it's the Bane Chronicles. And then November, Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy. And then we get to start my favourite series.
What's that? I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's this little series called The Dark Artifices.
Oh, you've never mentioned that before.
Oh, well, it's a good job I finally mentioned it. The soft spot is legit just because Will got under his skin, and then Alec reminded him of Will, though. And I think the reason for that is because Will and Gabriel are very much alike.
Yeah.
And obviously, Gabriel is like Alec's great, whatever. Like, however many greats. So, yeah, I very much love that. I did actually fling my book across the room when Jem died, though. I went the first time I read it, I literally put the book down and didn't go back to it for a few days because I was like, no. And that's not even the end of a page. I stopped at that sentence and, it's like 2 lines. I went straight to that page. I didn't even look at the page number. Yeah, it's literally there on the page. And the first time I read it, I literally read that and was like, and didn't go back to it for like 2 days. Because I was like, nope, you just killed Jem. No. But it's fine. He didn't die. I'm trying to see. Oh, we haven't even talked about one of the biggest things. Tessa changing into the angel.
This is where I got confused and where I was just like trying to make a connection that just didn't happen. I was like, oh, so is that why Jace got the heavenly fire? No, because it was a sword. I was like, oh, I forgot about the sword. No, but yeah, that whole thing. I then thought she was gonna kill Tess off, and I was like, nope. Oh,
Nope.
sorry, Lord Squidly.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was really clever. And the fact that by her doing that, it basically freed the angel within as well,
Oh, that was cute. Yeah.
because he was trapped because of Mortmain.
That's
It's like
just good. The
not
fact that,
cool.
yeah, the fact that when it explained that that's how the thing works is because there is part of it's like trapped inside. I was like, oh, that's horrible.
My one question is, my brain has blanked on this. I feel like I know the answer to it. Is that the same angel that Valentine has trapped?
I think it is.
Yeah, ethereal.
Mm,
It's the same one that Valentine has trapped and uses the blood for Clary and Jace.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, I was right in my thinking. Okay, I've read it so many times, and I think I've had this question every single time I've read it. I gotta say, one of my favourite relationships is completely platonic. I'm always happy to see Magnus and Tessa interact. Yes. And the fact that Magnus is sort of like a big brother type character, because he's been a warlock for how many centuries by the point that he meets Tessa, and he's like introducing Tessa and like being there for her when she's struggling, like, you know, when people that she loves are getting older and they're dying, and like when Jim dies and he's like the first one's the hardest, because obviously he's had like many loves in his life and the first one's the hardest, and I was like, stop it.
I know that bit was sweet, but also the fact that like was it Wolsey also says like, are you in love with Will, and he's like, no, I feel like I'm in my life, sort of thing. Like, he saved me, and it's like, he saved you, and that whole thing was just like, that is just so cute that he actually was the one that saved Will, but then that in turn saved, that was just, yeah. And then when I cough at you.
Love that the necklace practically branded the Herondals forever. Yes, it did. Talk about touched by an angel.
Yeah.
It is the same angel. Ever have got of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel sorry for him.
Yeah, he's been through a lot. Like,
freed from
more
one
than
prison.
any other angel.
Years later, you get trapped in another.
We already talked about Charlotte being offered the place of consul, but can we appreciate that she's like, well, you want me to be consul, but I have conditions.
Yeah.
Oh, that was great.
I'm just like, yes, make them work for your time after what they've been putting you through. Also, I would just like to say, Elias Carstairs offering Will the Carstairs sword, Cortana. Remember Cortana. Cortana's going to be important later on. Like, and that's not a spoiler, by the way. It's not a spoiler. Like, Cortana is important later on, and you're going to find out.
I will remember that. See, this is why I need to take notes, because I forget these little bits.
I literally just wrote Cortana eye emoji. I'm like, Cortana got mentioned. But yeah, Elias Carstairs is going to be relevant.
I'm pretty sure Cortana is what Windows called their version of Siri.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that'll be easy to remember.
Are you a Cassie fan?
Mr. Bill Gates.
Tell me you're a Cassie fan without telling me you're a Cassie fan.
Just joining, haven't read the book, but excited to hear all of your thoughts. Spoilers too. Yeah. Welcome. Yeah, Cortana eye emoji. See, Meg understands. And then can we appreciate how like chaotic Will proposing to Tessa was? Saying about how, you can have a shadow like, I haven't got a shadow hunter name. It's like, you can have mine. It's like, Will, that's not a proposal.
It is a Will proposal, though, isn't it? Like, you wouldn't expect him to do it any other way. It's not like it's not immediately gonna be like, he's not a gem, is he? He's not gonna sing to her and like, or play the violin to him like, oh, you are the love of my life. He just does it in a typical Will fashion, doesn't
Yeah, it's literally just like, I could be a Starkweather. I could have a true Shadowhunter name. Of course, you can have a true Shadowhunter name. You can have mine. And she's just all like, your name? He's like, really, Tessa? By this point, do you not know Will well enough to know that that is him proposing to you? He actually has to say the words, "Marry me."
That was cute.
It was sweet, but it was also a mess.
Yeah.
Will, ever romantic. But you are not, Magnus said. He is not dead, Will. He lives because you let him go. Stop it. Don't make me cry. But yeah, the epilogue breaks me in the best and worst ways, because I don't like seeing Will the way he is in that chapter.
Yeah.
But also Tessa and Jen reunited.
Nah.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna guess this is me talking about Will. I'm sorry. But yeah, him playing the violin. I can't. And then being all like seeing Tessa crying, it's like, oh my god, what have I done? I'm sorry. And it's like, no, it's happy tears. And he's like, oh, okay. Like, but then when he's actually like Brother Zachariah and like she's like in bed recovering from becoming an angel. And it's just like, stop it, please. Just stop it. It's like in these books, she just likes to stab me and then twist the knife a little bit. That's literally what she does to me.
I could have done without them being together at the end. I didn't need that.
I did.
Like,
it just proves you can have more than one great love.
It does, and I do get that, but yeah, I just never was a Gem and Tessa fan, to be fair. So yeah.
I want to boot you out or so much.
You can have your opinion, but your opinion is wrong.
It's wrong. I've just realised how dark it is. Let me try and find. I don't even know where my light is. So we're just.
It's all right. We can still see you. It's just your background's dark.
He wrote that melody for her. He did.
He is sweet. He is a cinnamon roll. Don't get me wrong, but just yeah. And you two are just like, oh my god, Gem, and I'm like.
And can we appreciate that when Magnus is like, oh, I'm going to go over to like New York, and he's like, I'm going to take Church with me. So that explains how Church ends up in the New York Institute in the Mortal Instruments.
Yeah, I noticed that as well.
Like, oh, are you happy that Will and Tessa ended up together? Let's see them live a happy life. Watch Will die surrounded by loved ones and then stick a plaster on the wound by having them meet at the bridge. What printing have you got? Not in my copy. I read online. I've got... Yeah, I think I've got the same one as you, the 2013. Yeah, 2013. Do you still want a gap? Oh, it was Brother Zachariah playing on Will's deathbed that destroys me, but it's been like 7 or so years since I've read it. Did you have to remind me of that bit? I specifically didn't write that bit down. To be fair, I didn't write any specific notes on the epilogue. I just put the entire epilogue. Because the entire epilogue breaks me. But I've not actually got any more notes. We've gone through all of my notes. Do either of you have anything else, or anyone in the comments want to talk about anything else in this book other than how much they loved it?
No, yeah, I was saying before, like, I gave the Mortal Instruments 5 stars apart from like the book 4 because it was like the start of the second trilogy or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that was more because I'd watched the series, loved the series, and when I was imagining the characters, I was imagining them all as the characters in the series that I enjoyed. I know people don't like the series, but for me, that was why I enjoyed that so much because apart from a few things that have changed, like it does follow the story quite closely. And obviously, I love the characters in the program, and every time I think of Luke, I just think of him. But this one was like a totally new thing, and there was no reference for this, so I didn't know how I would feel going in. But this is actually a 5-star based on the actual books, not the nostalgia of me loving the series, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm scared but excited to read the rest of them. But I think when we get to City of Heavenly Fire, this is happens after I stopped watching the series. So what happens in this book, I have no idea.
Oh, it doesn't matter even if you had seen that last series. It's nothing like the book.
All right, okay.
This is why I hate the series so much. They deviated completely. So yeah.
Right, okay. So this
It's
will
basically
be
different things.
so this will be like none of the plot points I will know in this one.
I am really excited for us to get to City of Heavenly Fire. We don't have the we haven't sorted the date yet, but I'm thinking we obviously with this one, the reason we did it literally still in August was because like 2 of us are going on holiday. But we won't have that issue. So we'll probably the live show for City of Heavenly Fire will probably be in the first week of October, especially with it being such a big book. I want to give people that extra little time to read if they need to, because it's a funky one. Yeah, including ourselves.
And I've just remembered that I've just finished filming my TBR and that's not on it.
Lisa.
Thanks. I'm happy to see them together later on, but I have to agree with Lisa. The ending wasn't necessarily especially having to go for seeing Will get out.
Yeah.
So many connections on a reread. I got even more. Yeah. On rereads, you really start to see the connections. And I'm just like, oh, I love this. Especially as someone who's read all of the books, you really see it. Like there are a few connections that you see if you've only read like up until where we've read. Like the necklace that neither of you clocked onto.
That totally went over my head. Like I've literally only just finished reading the first 5 books and that just went over my head.
Do I have to read the Mortal Instruments series before reading the 3 books one that you just read? I suggest reading the first 5 in the Mortal Instruments series, all 3 of the Infernal Devices, and then the 6th and final book of the Mortal Instruments. It deviates from release order. Release order, I think, is the first 3 Mortal Instruments, Clockwork Angel, the 4th Mortal Instruments, Clockwork Prince, the 5th Mortal Instruments, Clockwork Princess, and then the final Mortal Instruments. But there is a very, very good reason you have to read. You have to read City of Heavenly Fire after this. And I mean, this isn't a spoiler because that epilogue makes it obvious. It's because of Jem/Brother Zachariah. That is the reason you have to read them in this order. And I didn't the first time I read it. But obviously, Brother Zachariah is mentioned in City of Lost Souls. So if you then read City of Heavenly Fire and then you read the Infernal Devices, it's going to spoil everything for you. So, yeah. You have to read these. So that is my order that I read. But if you're not sure, just go by release order. I'm excited to join with the actual reading of the books after TMI. I'm excited for you. You are welcome. Alec and Magnus are going to break me and Raphael. I just love all the characters in that series.
Oh, I just remembered where we left off with Malik. Oh, I'm not okay. Shit.
But yeah, don't look at the comments because there is a spoiler that has just come through. So don't look at the comments. There's a spoiler. Please ignore the comments. Please be careful about what you're putting in the comments, guys, because like not everyone here has read City of Heavenly Fire before. So yeah, but on that note, Thank you everyone for joining. I obviously will make sure I tweet about when the live show for City of Heavenly Fire will be. But everyone enjoy it. I cannot wait to talk about that one. Oh, I'm so excited. And thank you to you for joining me.
Anytime.
Happy reading, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.